Should you so agree, recognizing the month of October 2013 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'd like to make that item A, if it's okay with you guys.
And Madam Mayor, I'd like to request to move new business C to new business A, please.
New business C to A, to new business A.
Correct.
Okay. Just swap them. Or move it down. So item C will be item A, ordinance 2013-50 will be item B, and 2013-51 will be item C.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on the change.
So moved.
Second? Unlimited choices, Vice Mayor.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, with that said, I have a proclamation first up for National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. If you all would mind if I read this. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of Americans from every background and in every community across our nation. And whereas, though we have made great strides in combating this devastating illness, more than 200,000 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and tens of thousands are expected to lose their lives to this disease. And whereas, during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we honor those we have lost, lend our strength to those who carry on the fight, and pledge to educate ourselves and our loved ones about this tragic disease. And whereas, though the exact cause of breast cancers are unknown, understanding its risk factors is essential to prevention. And whereas, older women and those who have a personal or family history of breast cancer are among those at greater risk of developing the illness. And whereas, early detection is key in the fight against breast cancer, and getting recommended screening mammograms can help to detect breast cancer early. Now therefore I, Pam Trigolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim October 2013 as National Breast Cancer Awareness Month and encourage the citizens of Lake Worth to join in activities that will increase awareness of what Americans can do to prevent breast cancer. Thank you. It's also a very special month to us too. We have some guests here, if I might come down here and join. I'll read the proclamation and then leave it open for you if that sounds good. Whereas retinoblastoma is a very rare disease that affects children and is the most common eye tumor in children, and now occurs in 1 out of every 12,000 children. And whereas retinoblastoma is a disease that causes the growth of malignant tumors in the retinal cell layer of the eye. And whereas left untreated, retinoblastoma is almost always fatal. Therefore, early diagnosis and treatment is crucial in saving lives and preserving visual function. And whereas eye dilation examinations performed upon infants at birth during the 6 to 8 week well baby exam and during the 6 to 9 month well baby exam are vital to saving the vision and lives of our children. Such infant eye dilation exams are extremely inexpensive. And whereas the City of Lake Worth supports eye pathology screening at birth and each well baby exam thereafter to assist in the detection of all ocular diseases in newborns, infants, and toddlers. Whereas vision and lives have been saved through awareness. Now therefore I, Pam Trigolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim November as Joey Bergsma Retinoblastoma Awareness Month. I'll just address everyone. Thanks.
like to thank the mayor and the city of Lake Worth, all of you, for realizing the vital importance of continuing the awareness. It saddens me terribly to have to say the 2 children in our county since last year, since my last proclamation, lost eyes to this cancer. They're very lucky they have their lives. One was a 3-year-old little boy who lives on Lake Worth Road. He had a well checkup at 3 years of age, and no ophthalmoscope was used at all. And 4 months later, his eye was removed in an emergency operation. So sadly, he was denied the standard of care, which was the reason why Joey died 13 years ago. So we're still at ground zero in many ways. We have a lot of work to do. The other was a newborn baby, born with bilateral. Had we done this simple little eye dilation exam in that first 2 weeks of life, her life would not have been jeopardized and she would have had both her eyes. One eye was removed at 4.5 months, and they're managing to continue to save the other eye. But early detection is vital with this. So we have to think about all the kids with the cataracts and the refractive disorders and the glaucoma, etc., that are so much more prevalent, that are losing their sight. That's the big picture. So I'd like to just, now that we're coming into picture time, everybody's going to start taking pictures starting right at Halloween all the way through Christmas. More photographs of eye diseases happen during this time period than any other time. The picture that I took of Joey, which has been seen all around the world now, was actually taken on Thanksgiving weekend at the Boynton Mall while we were visiting Santa. He's on Santa's lap. This weird glow in the right eye, whenever that flash goes off, if the eyes don't look normal, because very dark-eyed children don't get a red reflection, if the eyes don't look normal, or with light-eyed children you see that lousy red reflection, that is the retina. The back of our eye is red in color, and it is reflecting the light of the flash. So in that nanosecond, when the flash goes off, we have that opportunity where we might take a picture of a tumor, which is what I did in Joey's case, the worst eye disease a child can have, or anything, a refractive disorder, cataracts. Most of what I call Joey's kids have actually had cataracts and refractive disorders. And yes, retinoblastoma glows brighter than almost anything else on the back of the eye, and we do photograph it very, very often, but not always. This little boy that I just mentioned on Lake Worth Road, the 3-year-old, they never photographed anything. That's why the standard of care is the most important thing that we can all be alert to. At every exam, when we're going in, this is how we get to an eye doctor. This is how we get back to an eye doctor. When we go in for those well checkups, from the time we're born until you're an old lady like me and beyond, we always want to make sure that room is pitch black and they spend 15 seconds looking at the back of our eyes. We never know when something might start developing, and the sooner we get to the person who can fix it, the more sight we're going to retain. And with these little ones, retinoblastoma is a cancer that is a gift, because most of the cases are in the first 5 years of life, when we are always taking our children to the doctor. And because it's presenting here, it's not in our breast, it's not in our stomach, it's right here. And we have a 60% chance of actually photographing it if they would just make that room dark and spend that 15 seconds looking. The vast majority of these children are going to have their eyes in 20/20 vision. Tragically, almost all of them have at least one prosthetic eye, and that should not be happening. And when this gets out of the eye, the best cancer a child could have has now become the very worst. There is a 0 survival rate when this gets out of the optic nerve. So yes, we need to look in those little eyes. Now for newborns, because their pupils are so small, we need to do what we call an enhanced standard of care.
Excuse me, could you speak into the microphone?
sorry.
We're live streaming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Yes.
not all right.
Yeah, for the newborns, we need to dilate that little pupil. You can see the nurse. This is the pediatric nurse. She just weighed little Emma, and now she's dropping that little drop in there. Those drops are about 1.50 cents per eye. We're talking about 3 cents. Now, at the end of the well baby checkup, after the pediatrician has done everything else, he's still going to make the room dark. Even though the pupil's dilated, we always want the room dark when we use this ophthalmoscope. And then he's going to take a good 15 seconds looking at all angles at the back of that little eye. So now we have a good chance of detecting whatever might be developing there, getting this baby to an ophthalmologist who can treat whatever it might be, and then this child will have the best sight possible when she starts school. So it's as simple as that. And that's exactly what this pediatrician says when he takes away the ophthalmoscope. He's been doing this since 1984 for all the babies in his office. We're asking for this at birth, at 6 to 8 weeks, and at 6 to 9 months. And then, of course, the ophthalmoscope needs to be used at every exam. And I just want to take one more moment because I see there's some young parents in here today. I heard from a young woman who attended one of my presentations a few years ago when she didn't have any children. And now she has a 16-month-old little boy, and she was a little frantic because she'd taken a couple of photographs. So I said, you need to get him to an eye doctor. We have to do an eye dilation exam. So when she gets to her pediatrician for the referral and shows him the photos, he gets out his ophthalmoscope in a perfectly lighted room and spends 1 second. She said she couldn't even count to 2 before it was down on the counter. So when she questioned him and said, shouldn't this be done in a dark room? And she put this in quotes. The pediatrician replies, no, because if I am, I've been doing it wrong for 25 years and he's perfectly fine. Well, we're not going to know he's perfectly fine because this doctor who's bragging about using an ophthalmoscope incorrectly, I just got this 2 days ago. That's why it's very upsetting to me that something like this can happen in our state, where there's been more awareness of eye diseases of newborns, infants, and toddlers than anywhere else on the planet. We have a lot of work to do. That's all I can say. So hopefully, contact your legislators. Ask them what they're doing about infant eye care. We don't have a bill. I'll be speaking to the delegation out at Lakeside Hospital on October 29th. I'm already on the agenda. I actually wasn't going to bother with them this year. 12 years I've been begging. And after I got this email, I thought, no, I'm going. Joey wants me to be there. So I will be there. And we'll see what happens. Thank you again. Thank you so much. I know Joey's smiling every time I get this proclamation. And I know through awareness we've saved kids as far away as Africa. So yes, this does help. But the way we fix it is for the doctors to start looking in those little ones' eyes. And when they dilate that pupil, when we mandate this simple little procedure, they're all going to relearn how to use this, including Dr. Savage. They'll all start using it correctly. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
And I just want to thank you so much for your dedication to this. I know that it's so personal and it means so much to you, but this is the second time that I've gotten a chance to go through your presentation, and multiple times that I've met you, and your devotion to this and the lives that you've changed and helped is truly inspirational. And I just want to thank you very much, and don't you stop.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Real quick, Pam, what is going on the state level? Why is it, it's been 12 years that you've been,
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
and what is going on?
Well,
Why don't we have a bill?
I just had a moment with one of my favorite legislators, and I was so upset because she said, well, you know, Pam, we're not supposed to tell them what to do. Well, we mandated the hearing test just a few days after Joey was buried. January 1st, 2001, every child in this state didn't leave the hospital without a mandatory hearing test. It took 22 years for the legislators in Tallahassee to finally mandate the hearing test. It was the same fight that I'm going through. Medical lobbyists have a lot of money and a lot of power. In the beginning, in 2002 and 2003, we almost did this. We were a breath away from making this a law. There would be at least 200 kids in this state alone who would not have prosthetic eyes if we would have mandated this simple little exam at that time. But they got more and more power as we went along, and sadly, we had a bill in 2011 that never got heard. 2007 was the next time that we got very close to getting to the floor. They wouldn't let it go down there. In between, we haven't had a bill. We haven't had a bill last year. We didn't have a bill this past year. I'm praying we'll get one for the 2014 session. And at the very least, we always had a bill to fight for in the Senate. Even the House is where they play the game. And even if it wasn't filed there, always. God bless Congresswoman Wilson. She was Senator Wilson for 8 years, and she filed this bill religiously. I never even had to ask her. She's not from my county, she's from Miami, but she understood the importance of this. Senators can file as many bills as they want. Tragically, we haven't had a bill in the Senate for the last 2 years. That was the first time we didn't have a bill in the Senate, and it broke my heart. Because at least I had one bill number to scream about. and I could brag about the fact that the Senate understood the vital importance of this. So, shame on the Palm Beach County delegation, that's all I'm gonna say. Joey was born in Palm Beach County, and Joey died in Palm Beach County. And they should be taking this bill. Our county has been behind the eye dilation exam from the get-go, so has Broward. 87% of the counties that I was able to get to gave me proclamations and resolutions in support of this legislation. So the legislators of our state are not doing what their county commissioners and governments have asked them to do, nor have they done what their constituents have asked them to do. I run into people all the time and they think that we already have an eye dilation exam. They think this passed a long time ago. No, we're far from even getting a bill. That's why, whatever you can do, let them know this is silly. This is one we can fix. And when we allow these children to see, we are saving millions of dollars at the same time. Over $2 million to get a blind child through their life. We saved one child, and we've saved a lot more than that. I can show you a few right there on this poster that didn't have, this cancer. And they would have been blind at age 5, and instead they had 20/20 vision. One child gets to see. That $2 million pays for the eye dilation exams for every child born in the United States of America for 8 years. So when you do the math, you want to do this exam. So, anyway, thank you for asking, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you.
If someone just knew the governor to speak to.
Well, there's pictures of me hugging Governor Bush. And we didn't get too far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 5, now C, update provided by the Historic Resources Preservation Board. Mr. Blackman, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor. I thought I'd start off with a colorful reminder of our history. And I have a postcard collection that I've scanned. And it's a colorful reminder that much of our city was built on tourism. And people riding from Lake Worth to northern climates, telling them about the great weather we have down here and much of South Florida too. So just thought I'd start off with that. This is my second presentation this year. I was here in May, and you asked boards to come to you every 6 months, and that's what we're doing. Just to tell you what we're about, what we've been doing, what some of our goals are in the future. This is our current roster. We have 7 members, and due to the change in the LDRs, they're all full voting members now. We removed the alternate positions. We do have 1 vacancy. I am the current chair, and Herman Robinson is the vice chair. We meet the second Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. right here in the City Commission chambers. This is a map of our historic districts. They're pretty much east of Dixie Highway. You can see them spread off around the eastern half of the city pretty much. And this is a list of our individual historic resources, which include the Osborne School, the Gulfstream Hotel, and the Old Lake Worth City Hall, which is the annex. They're both national and local resources. We have 6 historic districts, 3 of which are also national historic districts. And you can see the total number of historic structures or resources within those districts, total near 2,800 structures. And that's a good size for a city of our size. And of those, they're contributing and non-contributing. And in previous presentations, I've talked about the difference between the 2 of those. Our goal is to concentrate on the contributing structures and make sure that they're maintained and preserved and fit in with the historic fabric. And we're also concerned about new projects within the historic districts. Non-contributing structures within a district, we're trying to make it easy for people who own those structures so that they can pretty much walk through the process. This is a good example of Lake Worth's fingerprint in relation to Palm Beach County and the state of Florida in terms of its historic profile. And you can see that we have a significant number of buildings that were built prior to 1939 which really cements our historic character in relation to other areas. And our boom period was between 1950 and 1979. And that compares with Palm Beach County, whose boom period really was 1980 to 1989. So just by looking at this graph here, you can see that we really are a unique community in relation to the rest of Palm Beach County. And most of the approvals for certificate of appropriateness is, and that's what we issue when someone wants to make a change to a historic structure, whether it be a residential or commercial structure, are handled administratively. And we had 197 administrative approvals during the fiscal year 2012-2013. And this is the sheet that's included in our monthly packet by the staff that identifies all the administrative approvals, and then individual members can check on them if they want to. And you get a good sense under the request type that these are pretty minor projects, but important to the property owner, and we try and get them through as fast as possible. And staff does a good job at keeping track of when they're received and when they're issued. These are the actual Historic Resource Preservation Board cases that we've seen, and it's been kind of an up and down year, but we've heard 57 cases, and these would be the more complicated ones, the ones that might, that usually involve a contributing property and larger projects, additions, window replacement, and roof replacement. Just some quick statistics. The number of certificate appropriateness from January 12th to October 12th, October of 2012, is 105, was 105. This year, the same period from January to October is 210, so that's a 35% increase over the previous year to date. And we've already surpassed the 2012 calendar year total of 198. So people are doing things with their property, and we see a consistent stream of these applications. And again, almost 78% of these certificates of appropriateness are administrative approvals. Now, the members of the board are here, no joy, no do. So we're having fun because with each project we see, we make an incremental improvement in how the city appears. And I'd like to show you some before and after pictures. This is one at 230 North Palm Way, a very simple structure, as most of the structures are within our historic districts. And the new owner wanted to add a carport. So they submitted plans and we reviewed them. And this is the completed project. And it included a new roof, the carport, and then the windows and the door. This is another project at 1205 North Lakeside. It's a 2-story Mission Revival structure. You can see how it looked before. Let's see. And how it looked after. This is before, this is in the same neighborhood. This is actually 1231 North Lakeside. And the golf course is right across from this property. And it really is a fantastic setting. But you can see the before conditions here. And many times we do have the original plans to refer to that are in the Community Sustainability Office. And they give us clues as to what the original intent architect had for the building. And that was important with the shutters that are in front of this building. And that's the final product. Here's a 2-story Art Moderne multifamily building. There was a demolition involved to the rear of this addition made in the